क्योंकि सास भी कभी बहू तो डेफिनेटली स्टूडेंट्स एक वो चीज़ हैं दैट विल ऑलवेज फाइंड अ शॉर्टकट एंड अ वे थ्रू गेट थ्रू थिंग्स. First bench पे most people come and grab those seats by waiting in the line for at least an hour before the class start कि सर हमें देख लेंगे तो नींद नहीं आएगी. ओके एटलीस्ट नींद आ रही हो तो सर देख लेंगे तो फिर मैं वापस जाग जाऊंगी. देयर वी हैव देन देयर आर सम स्टूडेंट्स हैविंग दैट स्वैग एंड दे जस्ट वॉक इन आफ्टर एवरीबडी सेटल. लेट आएंगे, 15 मिनट पहले आएंगे एंड दे वुड जस्ट सिट इन द बैक बेंच एंड येट दे ऑल्सो गेट द थिंग्स डन. वो भी पास हो रहे हैं. आई लुक्ड अप टू माई फादर एज माई रोल मॉडल. I know for a fact that he was a very good person. If I meet somebody who has met my father, they always appreciate about it.
Hello everyone, welcome to the very first episode in Dr. Artist podcast. I am Dr. Artist as your host. मेरे साथ है मेरे co-host Dr. आयुषी रोहिला और आज के हमारे खास गेस्ट है Dr. सलमान सर.
That's right. Salman Sir has been the guiding force for countless students and helping them navigate through complexities of micro and pharma. We are here to discuss about his journey as an educator and his advices for the students. Let's get started.
Thank you so much, Dr. Artist. I'm going to refer to you as Dr. Sanjay. And thank you, Dr. Ayushi. I'm actually honored to be here on the podcast of Dr. Artist. And as I'm supposed to be the first guest, I guess this channel, takes you to places and you will reach a lot of people and definitely helping them out. So thank you once again.
थैंक यू सो मच सर जो आपने इतने बड़े बिजी शेड्यूल में से हमें हमारे पॉडकास्ट के लिए टाइम दिया है.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for inviting me again.
Was MBBS your own dream or your parents motivated you to do?
Basically, I would say it was mutual. My father was also a doctor, although he is not in this world anymore. Rest in peace. I always looked up to my father and I wanted to be a doctor from my side. As a matter of fact, my father has told me one thing, that if you are not looking for a life that's going to be hectic, then you should not choose this field. I leave it completely in your hands that you choose whatever the field you want to be in. And I think the parents needs to understand, like even for the children, like as long as they want to do this, then this field is for them. Otherwise, medicine is something, if you push them into this, maybe later on they realize that this is not for them, and by that time it may be too late. So I've had that luxury, I would say. So I would thank my parents for that they did not push me for this, yet I'm here sitting with you. So it was my own choice.
Great, so very good. So our next question is, students really love you and they would like to know, how was your college life? Like, were you a nerd or you were into some extracurricular activity?
Actually speaking, even from the school, I have never been a bookworm. I have always wanted myself to be into pretty much everything. So I was actually into sports, and from the school times itself, I used to even win medals in some games as well. So I was always a person who would be, participating in the extracurriculars. I think if you have like a more balanced life when it comes to studies, then you enjoy the part of the studies as well. If you're just into studies, then you start taking this more like a burden. So I think this is one way that I could, kind of squeeze through. And probably one of the reasons that these subjects like pharmacology and microbiology, I'm actually able to handle them decently enough.
Great.
सर आज तक की आपकी ऐसी जर्नी रही मेडिकल में, कभी आपको ऐसा रिग्रेट फील हुआ है? जैसे नॉन अदर हमारे फ्रेंड्स होते हैं नॉन मेडिकोस, उनको ऐसा तो वो अर्निंग करने लग जाते हैं और हम स्टिल ऐसे एग्जाम में स्टक रहते हैं. आपको कभी ऐसा रिग्रेट फील हुआ कि मैंने मेडिकल करियर चूज ऐसे गलत कोई रॉन्ग डिसीजन ले लिया?
There is a saying, I don't know if you have heard that, हमने MBBS ले ली से MBBS ने हमारी ले ली. So technically this is one thing that we all may feel at one point, but it was always clear for me that I wanted that respect in the society that we get. And I think once you start seeing that happiness in the patient's eyes when they're better, their relatives when they come and appreciate you for the job that you did, I think those feelings of money, etc., what is there, that may not be there anymore. Hota hai at a point, especially when you are just, writing these exams, etc., we may end up feeling that, Arey yaar, my friend, he's an engineer, like he have passed this UG, he has done his masters also from America, because they don't need to write any test, etc. All you need is you can pay a fees and then you can end up in America and maybe they're into some good IT job. They're already doing well in their job. And then we look at ourselves that we are still hanging around with the books, our so-called friends for life. But remember one thing, like our journey as a doctor is definitely ups and downs, but there is a time after which it's morely uphill. तो जब हम उस फेज में पहुंच जाएंगे ना, तो we actually catch up with those people. उनकी जर्नी शायद ऐसे जाएगी, हमारी ऐसे जाएगी. So at one point of life, we will be all the same. So I don't think it should matter. ऐसे होता है in a young life, but मुझे नहीं होता था as such, because as I told, like I always wanted to be this. It was not pushed to me that I need to do this. तो जब ये मेरा decision था, तो I was clear enough in my mind that okay, it's all good, चाहे मैं जो भी earn कर रहा होगा. So I guess that answers your question.
Your journey was incredible, as you are a doctor yourself and you're making doctors. So it's inspiring.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Next question would be how long you have been in this profession?
Oh, that's a question. I would say it's been a decade almost. Like I remember one of my first few classes was in 2013, and blink of an eye, with all the love from the students, I guess a decade passed. Now it's 2024 and it's about to end. So it's still going. So good memories that I can say from all these years.
Also, sir, I've been your student and आपने बहुत कुछ हमें सिखाया है, बहुत मोटिवेशन आपने हमें दी है, क्योंकि जब आप इतनी लॉन्ग आवर्स की क्लासेस अटेंड करते हो तो आपका पूरा मोटिवेशन जीरो हो जाता है एक पॉइंट पे आके कि अभी विल बी एबल टू मेक इट और नॉट, घर जाके रिवीजन हो पाएगा कि नहीं. सो यू हैव हेल्प्ड अस ऑल थ्रू एंड बहुत कुछ सिखाया आपने. क्या लाइफ के किसी पॉइंट पे ऐसा हुआ है कि स्टूडेंट से आपने कुछ सीखा है एंड यू हैव इम्प्लीमेंटेड इट इन योर लाइफ?
Definitely, doctor. डॉक्टर आयुषी, आई वुड से, जैसे कि बोलते हैं ना, क्योंकि सास भी कभी बहू थी कभी स्टूडेंट्स थे, तो डेफिनेटली स्टूडेंट्स एक वो चीज है that will always find a shortcut and a way through get through things. So I used to tell you guys even in the classes that first bench pe most people come and grab those seats by waiting in the line for at least an hour before the class starts. And one of the probable reason is that कि सर हमें देख लेंगे तो नींद नहीं आएगी. ओके, एटलीस्ट नींद आ रही हो तो सर देख लेंगे तो फिर मैं वापस जाग जाऊंगी. सो दिस इज समथिंग दैट गोज ऑन, एंड देयर वी हैव देन देयर आर सम स्टूडेंट्स who are just having that swag and they just walk in after everybody is settled. Late आएंगे, 15 मिनट पहले आएंगे, and they would just sit in the back bench, and yet they also get the things done. वो भी पास हो रहे हैं and everyone. So that tells you that you can always find ways to get through. It's not just the situation that defines you. आप उसको कैसे लेते हो, सिचुएशन वही है. Everybody is a student who's sitting in the same class, but then that guy is finding a way to get through that. तो I guess एक उससे भी अपने को मोटिवेशन मिलता है that there is always an option B for everything. प्रॉब्लम है तो फिर just like MCQs, there's option A, there is option B. So I guess ये चीज सीखने को मिलती है. And definitely there are a lot of students that has taught me things. One thing I would say is that not everyone is having the same kind of a life. There are many unfortunate events that happens in people's life. ठीक है, that I have seen students that they were preparing for this exam mid-session. Very unfortunate events might have happened, like their parents, one of them passed away. So they used to come to me, they used to talk, etc. But when I saw that they have passed, that gave me a motivation that, when worse things also happens in life, then there is something better the God will gift us. I've had students who have had tumors, brain tumors, in the classes. They have come to me. They were like, "Sir, do I even continue this career?" And then that was a question that for a minute even I was like shocked, like, how do I answer this? But then I just thought like God would be giving some way, they will be paving some kind of way that can actually, define, no matter some imperfections are there with everyone, but yet you can do that. And now I can proudly say that student is actually a practicing doctor as well. She underwent a surgery as well, a brain tumor surgery, and she's a practicing doctor. So when we see this kind of things, that gives us a motivation as well, that never quit. So I think this is one thing that all of us can take from this, all the students who are coming for the exam as well, that this is not the end, we will do it.
सर यहाँ तक कि आपकी इतनी बड़ी जर्नी रही कि यहाँ तक आप एज ए मेडिकल स्टूडेंट से लेकर आज आप इतने बड़े बड़े डॉक्टर प्लस फैकल्टीज रहे, तो इसमें मेन रोल किसका रहा आपकी लाइफ में?
As I said, I've always looked up to my father as my role model. Okay. Apart from being a good doctor, I know for a fact that he was a very good person. Now, I'm not just saying that because he was my father, because even till date, if I meet somebody who has met my father, they always appreciate about him. So that gives me a proud feeling, and I want to live up to his expectation. Even if I become a quarter of what he was, then I would be a happier person in my life. My family has always been supportive. My mother, my siblings, my wife, especially my wife, I would say that, because I get to travel a lot during my classes. So it's not an easy thing to always keep traveling and there is somebody who's waiting for you. She's also a doctor. So the point is, we keep that balance in life. So I guess all this forms your backbone for doing whatever in your life. Yes, we may be talented, we may be doing a lot of things, but you definitely need family support. So I would always say, like, even when you're preparing for this exam, etc., there will be times then you're feeling down. Always open up your heart to your parents. And I think just hearing this, their voice itself will make you feel better. And ये एक होना चाहिए that at the end of the class in the evening, 5 minutes, 5 minutes ही सही, कम से कम बात कर लो, and that will make you definitely feel better. That you start your day with something like, let's say, a prayers that you can do, that you're connecting to the God as well, and in the evening you end with your parents, and I think that's a good day.
जैसे हमारा सर फ्री टाइम में होता है, जैसे हम प्लानिंग करते हैं, तो होते हैं ऐसे मेडिकल स्टूडेंट, हम प्लानिंग घूमने की प्लानिंग करते हैं, जैसे वैसे आपका फ्री टाइम होता है, आप अपना फ्री टाइम कैसे स्पेंड करते हो?
So when we actually get our free time, I'm a hardcore foodie. I think my first trimester shows that. Okay. So I like to explore a lot of cuisines, etc. So I'm very fond of foods, and in fact, I'm quite famous within faculties that if we go to this center, to phir kya khana hai? So one thing is, I explore restaurants and different cuisines, and I definitely like to go around as well. Like, koi bhi city jate hain, to definitely I make sure whatever the important places are that I visit. And you guys know that I'm a fan of Bollywood as well, or Indian movies in general. तो Gangs of Wasseypur आप लोग को याद होगी definitely. तो that is one thing. And one more thing, if I find free time, definitely I like to work out. So I'm a person who likes to play games rather than watching sports. This will be quite surprising that barely I actually watch cricket or anything. अगर कुछ time मिल जाता है, then I find it more interesting that I go and play some game for myself. That way I relish and enjoy my time.
हाँ सर, जो गौतम नगर में मोस्टली स्टूडेंट है, मल्टीपल टीम वाले हैं, उनका मोस्टली ऐसा होता है कि रिजल्ट होता है 148 149 पर आके स्टक हो जाता है, वो वापस कम बैक नहीं हो पाते, अपनी जर्नी रीस्टार्ट नहीं कर पाते, उनके लिए आप क्या एडवाइस देना चाहते हैं कि वापस से ये जो जर्नी मेडिकल स्टूडेंट वापस स्टार्ट कर देगी एज एग्जाम?
First, since you mentioned the score, um, this is a strong advice that I would give. Anybody scoring above 135, there's just a matter of 15 marks difference that has happened. Now, if you actually analyze the students, these are the people who are the most eligible people to pass in the next attempt, right? Compared to a fresher. Why? Because they've already studied that much. And I can assure you this, if somebody has scored around 160 in this examination and somebody has scored 140s and above between 149s, the knowledge that they both have is pretty much the same. The only difference is the day the exam happened, were they able to handle the pressure and did they make too many silly mistakes? You ask anybody who has scored somewhere between 140s and 149, I can tell you this, they can tell which questions they changed the answer for, which they earlier had marked correct. तो ये होता है. Once you come out of that and you're like, सर ये आंसर मैंने चेंज कर दिया, I wish I didn't. I know people who have done this for 149, 1 mark values like that. So, Dr. Saab, you just need to take things the way it is. Like sometimes we cannot pamper ourselves. This is the field we are into. The more procrastination that you do, the more time you're going to be stuck in this vicious cycle. अपने आप को खुद को समझाना पड़ेगा that I have done this and something happened with me that was not supposed to happen. But if you have faith in God, then you should be like, जो हुआ है अच्छे के लिए हुआ है. I know it's easier said than done के सर आप तो बोल दोगे ऐसे. But this is one thing, if you look realistically, this is one of the only few exams in India that happens every 6 months. So God is giving you such a beautiful chance कि भाई जाओ फिर से एक बार लिख लो. And rather than taking मैं fail हुआ, you should actually see this कि ठीक है, I have gotten one more chance to become a better physician. फिर से मुझे पढ़ने का अच्छे से मौका मिल गया, because this is one of the last times that you're going to study the things the way it is right now. इसके बाद एक बार आप डॉक्टर बन गए, you're not going to go back to many things in life. आज जो एक इमेज बनती है अपने माइंड में, right? We did not have all these options that are there right now. एक टाइम था, there is a time we used to make people write notes पूरा dictate किए जाते थे. Now you're having workbooks, now you're having recorded lectures, now you can visit them anytime. So the more we pamper ourselves, you know, we will go downhill. But अगर हम इसको जिद बना लें कि I am gonna do it, जब 148 में यहाँ तक ला चुका हूँ या whatever score I've scored, if you make it hell bent कि I am gonna get this done with, तो हो जाएगा. Now, one piece of advice कि few days बुरा लगेगा. It's a natural human tendency. We are not a robot. After those few days, if you still keep doing the same thing that past में मैंने ये किया, क्यों नहीं हुआ, then the time will pass. And there will be a time you will realize that this attempt is coming near, चलो अब पढ़ लेता हूँ. But that time again, the time becomes less. So the earlier you start, the earlier you tell yourself that it's okay, then it's going to be fine. Like there is a video about Anupam Kher sir. If you watch his video, in one of his videos, he said that I think in a 10th standard he had failed and his father actually took him to a hotel. Apparently they were not, I guess, that financially stable. They would go to this restaurant every 6 months, from that video, what I could gather. But his father took him to that to celebrate this thing. So acceptance that failure, if you're talking about that, failure doesn't define a person, it defines just the situation and the time. You are not a failure, wo waqt hai. Tomorrow, once you have passed, you're not called a failure. Remember this. So failure doesn't define a person, it defines only the time and the situation, and time is temporary. Aaj bura hai, to kal acha bhi hoga. That is something that you need to, just look forward to. So I guess in a medicine profession, If you're keeping a hope that everything I'm going to crack in first attempt, then that's not possible. There's so many people, they don't crack the NEET PG in the first attempt. That doesn't mean they're going to stop. Today, there might be a very renowned cardiologist in your hospital, somewhere in your city. You don't go and ask him, how many attempts did you take for the NEET PG? That guy is a successful person. As I said, past doesn't count. So do not keep looking at the past, because past is something you can't change. God has given this time called as the present. तभी तो उसको present gift बोलते हैं. And if you work in the present, you can definitely change the future. So I guess this is something that you should all understand. So it's my message to all those people who are watching that अगर आप जो भी score पे stuck होंगे, remember this is not your final destination. We are driving a car, we are going to some destination, there can be a red traffic light. When you put a brake and you stop there, that's not your end. आप destination को तो जा रहे हो. The only thing is continue your journey. Stops आएंगे. But then as long as you continue, you will reach your destination. Not giving up is the only thing, it's the only option right now.
So basically, accept and move on. Get back to your grinding, and you are good to go.
Definitely, definitely. I know I shouldn't be giving this example right now, but there are worse things that happens in our lives. Somebody in our family passes away. There is a time that is allotted for doing everything. For a time being, feeling sad is a human nature. But if God did not give us this courage to move forward, then I think we will all be sad throughout our lives because someone or the other had passed away. But we need to move forward. एक हर चीज का एक वक्त होता है. Yes, you can sit, you can say जो भी हुआ हुआ है, but then we need to keep moving forward. And as long as you do little better for yourself, then nature comes together to kind of show you the pathway.
So, sir, FMGE is around the corner. It's just 2 months away. What would be your advice as an educator to the students who are giving this exam in this upcoming 12th of January is the date? So what would be your advice?
So as of now, since the day we are recording it today, there is plenty of time. There is 70 plus days that is there. So I can say that this is more like a Diwali gift that all the FMG students have gotten. 70 days of preparation time is not every batch's luxury. There has been batches who have just gotten like 35, 40 days, 45 days also, yet they have passed this exam. Now, this amount of time that you're getting is actually a double-edged sword. If you kind of become little lazy that, chalo itna time mil gaya, I'm going to do this little later, then I guess this can be actually more detrimental for you. But even if you start now, let's say I'm like below average student also. Yet, if I start right now, it's almost the amount of time that you're getting. It's like doing a new course once again. Apna jo pura training period hota hai, that itself is like 3.5 months, etc. Now you're getting 70 days. That means it's like a ample time to even start now and pass. So stop your procrastination. What will happen? What will I start with? This and that. Get to the work. Now is the time. If you put your efforts, that white coat awaits you.
फ्रेशर जो हमारे फर्स्ट ईयर सेकेंड ईयर स्टूडेंट्स हैं वो उनको ऐसी आप क्या एडवाइस देना चाहते हैं कि वो इससे मल्टीपल वाले अटेम्प्ट में इस फेज में आए ना. जैसे हमारे फॉर एग्जांपल जो हमारे फ्रेशर मेडिकोस फर्स्ट ईयर सेकेंड ईयर जो बाहर अभी एब्रोड में हैं उनको आप क्या एडवाइस देना चाहते हो?
Always being on a safer side is a better option. जैसे कि what happens is I hear students who come up to me and ask me, sir, my senior told me I have studied only 7 subjects and I have passed this exam. Okay, so there was a time maybe this could have happened, but not as of now. Not as of now. There is so much integration that is happening in this exam. For instance, in the last exam, what they did is at one point of time, there used to be a question from microbiology. Banana-shaped gametocyte would be an identity of which of the plasmodium? It is falciparum. And then there would be a separate question from pharmacology, like what exactly is the treatment for Vivax or for falciparum. This time in the last attempt, what they did is they gave a banana-shaped gametocyte and they asked what is the treatment. So now, if you have not studied micro, then you cannot answer this question. Nor if you have studied, let's say you skip the pharma, still you won't be able to answer. So now, since the next exam is coming up, I think the earlier you start, better. Now, talking about that analogy, Dr. Saab, sometimes what happens is luck is also one of the factors. If there is a person who jumped from 10th floor and let's say he survived, that does not mean everybody who jumps from 10th floor will survive. What is a better thing to do? Do not do that. Take a more safer option that works for most people. Do not look for that one or two lucky chaps. This is my strong piece of advice.
Your answers are really interesting, sir. And I would like to add, जो आप डॉक्टर साहब बोलते हैं ना सर,
अच्छा सही है, मैंने
वो
बहुत सुना
एक
है।
अलग लेवल मोटिवेशन है। हम लोग क्लास में भी हमें बहुत अच्छा लगता था, क्योंकि जनरली जब कोई भी एफएमजी इंडिया आता है तो दे हैव दिस फीलिंग कि अभी हम डॉक्टर नहीं हैं। सो व्हाइल यू आर एजुकेटिंग अस, यू रेफर्ड टू अस एज डॉक्टर साहब, एंड दैट वाज रियली अ मोटिवेशन फॉर अस।
ये सर मैंने आपको वहाँ ऑफिस में ये बात बोली थी कि हम 3-4 के आप ये वर्ड सर डॉक्टर साहब बोलते हो, अच्छा लगता है, feel होता है।
Actually, I mean it because an exam does not define your existence. ठीक है? Like we have to come back to our country to practice medicine in India. And a lot of times we may, if we want to go somewhere else also, we need to pass this exam. But the thing is, you have already graduated. You are a doctor somewhere. So that's what makes me think. सीख तो हम सभी रहे. Even when experienced doctors talk to each other, they do not ask where are you working. They rather ask where are you practicing these? So that tells us that we are always learning. But we have already become a doctor. That makes me tell you guys कि भाई डॉक्टर हो, कल के दिन तो मैं आपको डॉक्टर ही बोलूँगा, obviously. तो क्यों ना अभी बोलूँ जब आप already हो. That's my analogy in saying that.
Very wonderful, sir. And we also learn this, that you are giving us respect, and that's why students also love you, and they really love the way you teach, your mnemonics, and everyone respects you. Everyone wants that कि माइक्रो फार्मा तो सलमान सर से ही पढ़नी है. So this is something incredible you have earned.
सर अभी ये डेट एफएमजी का डेट अनाउंस हुआ है 12 जून को एग्जाम है, तो उसमें हमारा कैसा शेड्यूल हो, 75 डेज का शेड्यूल कैसा होना चाहिए फॉर स्टूडेंट के प्रिपरेशन के लिए?
As we discussed previously, 70 days is a very huge amount of time if you're actually preparing for this time. So, Dr. Saab, ab I will tell you, see, the approach for different people will be different here. Aapka first attempt hai, you are going to have a slight different approach. This is your second attempt, then it can be little different for us. Now, either ways, one thing that is common in first attempt, second attempt, whatever, we all have our weak subjects. ठीक है? Now, if you want to pass this exam, then there's one thing that is a necessity, I would say. You need to strengthen your weaknesses, especially if those subjects are those which are high scoring. होता है. I might be somebody who might be weaker in gynecology. I might be somebody weaker in microbiology. I might be somebody weak in pharmacology. Every one of us have our own weaknesses and our strengths. हो सकता है आई एम नॉट गुड इन फार्मा बट आई एम लाइक अ मास्टर इन गायनोकोलॉजी. तो अपने अपनी होती है. नाउ द थिंग इज, if you're doing self studies, I'll take them in different parts. If you're doing self studies, you have not excuse me, let's say you're doing your self studies and you have not joined any institute or any coaching, or you're not doing anything from the apps also. Now, what you can actually do is, now is the time, we have a target, long-term target, 70 days. First thing, to get into the vibe of studies, I would say take 2 subjects which you are already decent in. What will happen is, if you start something you have been struggling with in the beginning of your studies, when you start that subject, वो mood नहीं बनेगा, and that will take your tempo of studying. उसके बदले, what if you kind of push through 2 subjects that you are already okay in, and what ends up happening is you start getting the tempo of studies. Now push in 1 bad subject in between and then get through. अब ये point अपने को याद रखना है that if we are not improvising from our previous session, then the score may get stuck in a pretty much similar place only, right? We should not be under the impression कि मैं second attempt में हूँ तो शायद इस बार और हो जाएगा. Now there is one more thing that I would like to add. Many people who are attempting for the first time, they don't get to do the questions. Okay. As a matter of fact, they're not able to even finish the revisions properly in the evening after the classes, long classes. 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, class khatam hoti hai. We are also human. We go back and revise. Then after that, when we are actually sitting, we see and compare ourselves to others. Sir, that guy is able to do these many questions. I'm not able to do. Sir, mera kya hoga? Will I pass, sir? Sir, remember one thing. This exam is not like one size fits all. Every human is an individual. तभी तो हमें individual बोलते हैं. Many things, you know, if you're comparing, हर चीज का एक standard नहीं कि ये करोगे तो ही पास होगे. Everybody will have a different journey, and when you ask them, they've passed, and each one of them is different. So don't compare yourself to the others and bring your morale down. आधे students का morale दूसरों को देख के होता है. And this is one reason I guess people join offline classes. एक environment मिलता है that somebody is studying, I'll also see that and I'll start studying. ठीक है? तो ये this is one thing. तो ये vicious cycle of thinking will I pass, will I not pass should not be there. Simple thing is, if you do something, जैसे कि for example you guys went abroad and you came from that country to India. How did you come? You might have come in an aeroplane. We do just one thing that we need to do. I'll buy a ticket, I'll take my passport, and I'll present in the required amount of time to the airport. After that, once I've done my thing that I'm supposed to do, I will leave this, process, to the nature के अब क्या होगा. Flight may get delayed, flight may not get delayed, but आप अपना जब कर लेते हो ना, you will not have any regret. अब second thing, you put your trust in somebody. जैसे कि pilot है, pilot has brought you here, you have put your trust into that, and वो तो हो गया. आपने अपना काम किया था, उसने अपना काम किया. ठीक ऐसा ही कुछ है. When you do your hard work, nature and God is bound to bless you. All the sacrifices that you make today, Diwali आ रही है. Many students would be like, sir, 6 साल हो गए, we have been spending our Diwalis abroad, and this is the time we are in India, yet we are not able to do. जब 6 years you have done, add one more year, and let's make sure that this is our last Diwali. We won't be doing at home. Next time से वहीं करेंगे, and for that, if you have that vision that you want everything good in life, then work for it. So then I guess it should be done. So take the subjects which are decent enough for you in the beginning, then go for the weaker subjects, then keep, mix and match. एकदम से bad subjects का भी आप stretch ले लोगे तो फिर demoralize हो जाओगे. So keep those bad subjects once after two subjects. और डॉक्टर साहब, rapid revision पे ही rely नहीं करना है. This is one thing that we must understand, specifically now that the exam is coming quite conceptual, etc. There are many things that are not discussed in the rapid revisions. Rapid revision is a rapid revision for people who have heard the classes, etc., to kind of refer to the main notes. The main concepts are brushed up. Now you can read a little more theory. Okay? That is what it is. जैसे कि भाई मूवी के ट्रेलर से आप पूरी मूवी कैसी है जज नहीं कर सकते. It's pretty much like that. Okay? Trailer अच्छा है, ठीक है, it's all good, but again, you need to watch the movie as well.
So, I myself has gone through this journey, and what I have noticed is जब आप classes जाते हो, so we as students are bound that 9 o'clock आपकी class चालू होगी and 8 o'clock खत्म हो जाएगी. So there are you people as educators motivating us and guiding us through कि आपको आज ये पढ़ना है, ये revise करना है. The game begins when the classes gets over. उस टाइम पे मैंने बहुत सारे बच्चों को डिमोटिवेट होते देखा है, अपने प्लान्स पे स्टिक नहीं कर पाते हैं. अब आप अगर एक भी दिन अपने प्लान पे स्टिक नहीं कर पा रहे हो तो वो एक बहुत ही डिमोटिवेटिंग फैक्टर हो जाता है कि वी आर नॉट एबल टू डू इट, एंड एग्जाम डेज पे हम अपने आप को उतना मेंटली काम नहीं रख पाते हैं. सो व्हाट वुड यू एडवाइस टू द स्टूडेंट्स who are doing good but not able to manage their mental peace?
Um, as we said, we also discussed the same thing during the classes, that classes के time तो हमारा इतना busy schedule है that especially you guys, you wake up much earlier, you come to the class, wait in the line, then फिर the whole day gets exhausted. Pretty much you go do your daily things that you have to do, and then the day finishes. अब आता है main, once the classes gets finished, 19 workbooks are piled up right in front of you. It all begins with the first feeling that I do not remember anything from a lot of subjects. It's a feeling that you get that I literally do not remember anything in that subject. Sir, how does it work? Okay. And on top of that, a lot of times during the classes, you'll be seeing that some people who have passed have come. They have said certain things like, I did 4 revisions, 3 revisions, this and that. So at the beginning of this revision journey, jo aapki classes khatam ho jati hai, you will be actually contemplating all these things like, is it really doable? See, one of the reasons we bring out those students who have passed is for one simple reason, that I think you guys can relate most to them. वो लोग आके ऐसे झूठ तो नहीं बोल रहे हैं, they have also done the same thing. So how is it all possible? So एक process है, and you need to hold on in that process. First thing is, we should give up this habit of thinking that everything needs to be done by perfection. Line by line, knowing everything in a subject is impossible, especially now that there are 19 subjects. Maybe if you just had 2 subjects to prepare, I would have said, okay, learn everything line by line. That's not possible. That's inhumane to think like that. Now, second thing, I am not remembering. Actually, it's an over expectation from yourself. MBBS is something that we study in 6 years, right? 6 साल दिए जाते हैं to study some things. Now you're squeezing 6 years of vast ocean of information in just a matter of 3 months. Obviously, you will not remember everything. If I were you, I would not have remembered that. Nobody does that. But kahin to start karna hoga. With the feeling that, yes, I don't know. Karoge to phir hoga na wapas. But if you still keep thinking, yaad nahi hai, then you'll be stuck on the same spot. So you need to push yourself that I need to start. As I said, start with something you're decent enough in. Okay? So that gives you a vibe. Now, a lot of times, the organizations you might have taken the classes in may provide you with certain schedules. And a lot of times, a lot of students may not be able to stick to that. So I would always advise, have like your own schedule as well. Unless the time is very short, you do not have time to prepare your own schedule, then follow what is being told to you by your faculties, because they, based on their experiences, will guide you obviously in a good way. But as I said, one size does not fit all. It may not work out for everyone. One thing is, when you say this subject is weak for me, that I'm not able to remember, you're just judging your preparation of 3-4 days of that subject that you've studied it once. You haven't even revised it once properly. Then how do you expect to remember everything in MBBS? Are you understanding that? And the thing is, once you have heard something, what is happening during the classes is, each time you attend a class, a layer of a memory gets created in your brain. Then another subject tops it up, another subject tops it up. It keeps piling up like this. If you ask anybody suddenly to speak verbally, what is the answer for this? Many people may not be able to actually answer that. All right? But somewhere in the subconscious, you have a concept where if I give you an MCQ, you will see the 4 options and you will be able to rule out and choose the correct answer. And I can assure you this, 80% of the paper at least is answered by subconscious mind, what you just heard and you have just revised. But if you go back and say, do I remember this page, everything? You may not be able to recall. Okay, it's just a rough image that most people have, that on this page I have studied this topic like that. एक pictographic memory हो जाती है. So what are these magical 3-4 revisions that we generally talk about? So please remember, first time when you start revising, let's say 1.5 month of a time that most batches get, if you have this much time, when you start revising for the first time, you will be hearing the rapid revision of the same faculty. Rapid revision, although it does not cover everything, but a lot of the things you have heard the faculty for the first time, those memories come back because you had already created that memory. People who have already listened to the class, for them the rapid revision will help. It's not like people just hear the rapid revision and they go to the exam. They're still studying the notes. Everybody who has passed this exam, they're still going to do that. And what happens after this is the first reading that will be happening in that time. You hear a faculty once, that is itself one memory revision for you. Then what do? Second time is where you sit and revise for a subject wise test. So indirectly, once again, a revision got done. And each time you're revising, the time is cut less than half. A subject like gynae, what you study for 6 days, you're covering in 6-7 hours. And there will be a time on, let's say, last week before exam, same gynae 3 घंटे में ऐसे बस पन्ने पलटने होते हैं. You just keep revising it like that. So you guys, since you've passed, I believe you will agree to this. That's how imperfectly those revisions happen. There is nothing like perfection. All 19 subjects, nobody will know. In yeah.
There is a rule, I've read it somewhere, that multiple imperfect revisions are better than one perfect revision.
Definitely, that's 100% true. And in fact, in this whole world of our imperfection, the idea that we have lies that secret success, pathway. आपको बस उस process पे believe करना है that ये होगा, right? Just keep going, right? If you keep stuck at that place, tell yourself what is going to happen 2 months from now. Exam हो जाएगा and you will be stuck in the same place. वक्त किसी के लिए रुकता नहीं है. You have to keep pushing yourself, match according to the time. So that is the need of the hour right now. So brush up, no more thought processes, क्या होगा. You have to start doing your own things and you should be fine.
So जब मैं प्रिपेयर करी थी सर, उस वक्त जब मैंने अपना फर्स्ट रिवीजन चालू किया क्लासेस के बाद, आई फील लाइक बहुत सारे पेजेस वर्कबुक्स में ऐसे थे जो मुझे लग रहा था कि ये मैंने ही फिल आउट किए हैं, मुझे लग ही नहीं रहा था कि मैंने वो वर्ड्स पढ़े हैं. बट बाय द एंड इट वाज एज स्मूथ एज अ स्मूदी.
That happens because a lot of times, even during the classes, we are not actually always mentally present. Notes तो लिख लेते हैं, that is a muscle memory, that you're looking at a faculty, हाँ कुछ लिखाया जा रहा है, you copy that. We may not be mentally present. So you will get a feeling when you're like, did I write this? So it's okay, but the time is there to catch up with all those things in the end. As we said, when the previous people, previous batches, everybody who has done this, they have also done it, then why can't you? Right? So that's the only thing. ये सब feelings आती है, but you keep yourself slightly busy in these things. Stay away from negativity. Baby steps. Do not overburden yourself with too many things. Start your day early in the morning. Start adjusting your circadian rhythm, according to the time of examination, because a lot of us are night owls. Exam happens during the daytime, and I've heard many students, especially in the part 2, etc., they're very drowsy and they may not be able to actually focus. तो ये habit को हमें अभी बदलना होगा. Sleep is very crucial, scientifically proven. Whatever you study, it goes into your permanent memory only when you sleep, right? So इस पे कई articles है. So do not neglect your sleep, because sleep indirectly affects your immune system. Then you get some infection, then you're sick for 5 days. Now you have double the pressure. 5 दिन I could not study. So this is all adding up to your problems. So health has to be even prioritized along with the studies. So wake up early in the morning, start your day with something heavy in the morning, because you're fresh. At the end of the day, heavy things should not be taken. Whatever, आपका जो भी subjects उस दिन पढ़ना है या whatever, try doing that and take up like one light subject mostly. I don't know if it works for everyone, but if you are having like two subjects, the way the human mind works is sometimes, if you notice, we feel that I've eaten till here. I can't eat anything more. But then, gulab jamun, when it comes, you're like a separate GIT got created for this. Yes or no? We are able to easily accept that. Just a minute ago, you were saying, I can't eat anything, but then now you're able to. Because that food was a different thing for your mind, the flavor was different, and now right away, you have something smaller. You mentally, are like change of flavor is also there. You accept that. Same thing with the studies. You might get saturated at one point reading one subject, but then if you take up something, smaller, something lighter, that time your brain will not see that it was already saturated, something it will accept. तो वो time भी waste नहीं होगा, and then you will end up doing at least one review. And as we said, the last month, the nutrition to the brain is just reading. As you keep reading, the subconscious is getting more stronger, and that will make you pass this exam.
सर नॉट ओनली माइक्रोबायोलॉजी एंड फार्माकोलॉजी, आप जो एडवाइसेस दे रहे हैं एंड जो आप हमें सिखा रहे हैं ना, उसका भी आपका जो तरीका है वो ऐसा है कि हर कोई उसको बहुत इजीली समझ सकता है और लाइफ में इम्प्लीमेंट कर सकता है. दैट्स रियली ब्यूटीफुल सर. आफ्टर ऑल दोज सीरियस डिस्कशंस आई वुड लाइक टू आस्क कि कभी क्लास में कोई फनी आपका एक्सपीरियंस रहा है? वुड यू लाइक टू शेयर समथिंग फनी दैट हैपेंड इन योर क्लास व्हाइल टीचिंग?
Classrooms are always something that is amusing because there is all sorts of characters. Post lunch is my favorite period, where that's my entertainment, because after the hyperglycemia, where all your blood is guided towards the GIT, less is going here. And that's the time when people are just having absent seizures. They're just staring at me. And I know that they're not probably mentally present. That is one thing. And another thing that is quite funny is at one point during the COVID, I was quite popular that I'm going to come and shut down a center. Because during the COVID, when the pandemic had began, I was actually in China that time taking classes. Okay, so it's a long story, like long story cut short. I did not know what's coming, right? Nobody knew. For the first time in my life, I've seen so many people wearing masks all at once. And in fact, I have the masks from that time. The students have gotten me. I've stored them at my home like a trophy. COVID wale special masks there, right? So first ones. And basically, after I came back to India from China, because I could not conduct the classes over there, one of my first few classes were in Kerala, in two cities in Kerala, and I shut both centers. And the news is, slowly spread out that, okay, Salman Sir is going to come and he will shut down our classes. From there, my flight was booked to Chennai, and I shut that center as well. And I went to another place. So ye ho chuka tha. And finally, I had gotten an invite for a foreign university class in Kyrgyzstan as well that time. And thankfully, I had said no to that, because few days after have denied that request, the whole travel thing was banned. I would have gotten stuck by now. I would be very fluent in Russian, I guess. So, ye ho pata. So, this is something that I'm reminded of. Matlab, this is an event that nobody can forget in their lives, COVID. And I happen to be there. So, God has been kind that nothing has happened back then. So, yeah, this is something I always remember.
एफएमजी का हमारा एग्ज़ाम पास होने के बाद हमें पीजी की प्रिपरेशन करनी होती है. अब हमारे सीन जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल होते हैं कि पीजी एफएमजी बहुत अलग एग्ज़ाम है और पीजी अलग है. पीजी के लिए हमें फिर से एक नई शुरुआत करनी पड़ती है. पीजी और एफएमजी में क्या लेवल सेम है, क्या डिफरेंस?
Do you think PG is engineering or law? Do you think Alnar would be called something else? वही रहेगा ना. The only thing is, maybe there was a time where there used to be that difference, but now I believe all faculties almost would agree that in many, many subjects, pretty much the same standard of NEET PG is coming in FMG. Okay? So that curtain in between has already been removed. So level up your mind thinking that you're studying on par with the Indian education. I want all these students who are listening to this, you're not less than anyone. Yes, due to language barriers, you may have a little less clinical exposure over there. That is one big advantage that students studying in India would have. But theoretically, you guys are getting the same thing. Nowadays, you are having apps, right? Even an Indian graduate is studying from that. You're also studying from that. You're having on campus classes these days. So many people are starting much earlier. So there is barely any difference. Recently, just the last NEET PG that happened, one of our students, I'm just going to mention his name because he is the one who have scored 1400 All India rank in the NEET PG in the first attempt. First attempt, right? There are many students I know who have gotten even into AIMS, after FMG. So a barrier or a chain is only there if you do that for yourself. ठीक है? हम अपने आप की सोच को रोकते हैं that there is something that is different in NEET PG. If you start early and 60 to 70% content of this, what we are teaching you in FMG is the same that is carried forward in the NEET PG. Now, let's say you passed your FMG, you took a gap of 4 years, and then you start NEET PG. Then you start from the scratch. But if you have just passed your FMG, 0 to 60, you have already been here. You just add little bit and you're going to be all fine. Okay? So this thought process should not be there. During your internship also, you should be actually keeping in touch, at least with the FMG notes, what you've studied. And you just add on to this eventually and voila, you'll be right there, scoring the dream, field of your.
सर इसमें मतलब हम जो हमारे एफएमजी के सेम नोट्स उसी में हमें एडअप करना चाहिए.
This is a tricky situation. Like, it all depends. For example, let's say you're preparing from an offline institute that time or an online app, etc. The language of the faculty, how they teach and approach a topic will be different. Okay? You can add that, but what ends up happening in the end is the notes may become too cluttered. You know what I mean? So better thing is follow that time whatever the faculty you're following, but to form the foundation that you have had from this notes, you can give this a quick review, then you can go read that one. Okay? Anaphylactic shock stays the same whether it's in this notes or that notes, but let's say you have a good memory from this notes because this is the first time you have invested so much time in this. So read this, you'll get most of the concepts from that. Now you go back again to that notes, and when you read, then it's going to be much easier, right? So this is one thing rather than adding the points, because there will be a lot more things. What is happening is even in the Q banks, there will be a lot of questions that may be put just based on what if it is asked. Right? May not be necessarily that's a topic that is routinely tested in the exam, but Q banks will put that. Now, what happens is you'll be like, oh my God, this is not there in the notes. I need to add that. How much can you add? Right? So that's why better thing, just follow that time notes. Just refer this as a first quick revision that gives you a good, idea about what you're going to study there.
सर अभी हमारे कुछ ऑडियंस की क्वायरीज है, उसके बारे में आपको बताना है. जैसे डॉक्टर विक्रम का क्वेश्चन है कि एग्जाम से पहले हमें कितने जीटी देने चाहिए.
Let's first analyze that. A lot of the students, in fact, are scared to take GTs as well. They're like, sir, if I score less, my morale would go down. ये होता है एक excuse. Now, let me just tell you, why do you take a GT? And why you should not be over or underconfident with GTs. Let's start with something. There is a student who have not passed in the first attempt, or maybe not in the second attempt as well. This is the third attempt that is happening. Now they have stuck on to one Q bank. What happens? I have seen students who are scoring 200 plus in the GTs, yet they're not passing the exam. What could be one of the factors? Since you have already solved the questions from that Q bank, you have a muscle memory of that. and you may mark the question correct, but that does not necessarily mean you're actually good in that topic. So a request for all those people, try switching a Q bank. ठीक है, ये करो, like that's there, but add one more thing, because in your second or the third attempt, you have more time for the preparation. Now, coming to the number of GTs, again, it depends on how much time is also remaining. It differs from batch to batch. This time, there is quite a lot of time. So, why are you taking a GT is, GT gives you, number one, the focus ability to sit for that amount of time, because that's how much time you need to be fully focused on the day of the exam. See, when you're attending a class, it's more like sitting in a bus. The faculty is a driver, you sleep, you're awake, doesn't matter. But on the day of exam, you are the driver. ठीक है, so you have to be fully awake each minute of that exam. 2 मिनट आंख बंद हुई तो सर आपका 4 क्वेश्चन रह जाएंगे. That means you have to be fully awake that time. So don't you think you need that focus ability? We have been doing this for the last 3 months. हम क्लास में सो भी जाते थे, so your body is used to this. And don't you think all of a sudden if I go play a match in the stadium, that is not possible unless I've practiced in a practice net? GT एक practice net है. For your focus abilities, you're going to sit for that much time. Number 2, why you should take a GT? Because a lot of us are just used to taking subject-wise tests where your mind knows a question from this subject is coming. But exam is not like that. In the exam, you're going to get a question all of a sudden from anatomy, next one is from radiology, third one is from pharmacology, fourth one from ENT. कहीं ना कहीं से आएगा. So the question is, जब आपने ये practice नहीं किया होता है, then your mind to switch from this to this all of a sudden will take time, and you may answer that question if I give you little more time, but time is the crunch in the exam. You're going to get same amount of time for a lengthy question or for a short question. So the thing is, the more better you are with practice doing in the GT, the lesser different you're going to feel on the day of exam. क्योंकि आपने जितने भी GT दिए होंगे, as I said, there is no magical number. How much ever GTs you have given, the more you have क्या बोलना चाहिए, a confidence on yourself that yes, I can see that this exam is nothing but a GT in a different place. That's all. So GT का main ये purpose होता है. So it's giving you focus abilities, and the second thing is it gives you that vibe of the exam hall where randomly you're all able to solve the questions. And when you take a GT, please do not make this mistake. People take GTs. I scored 118 out of 240. I'll take another GT after a while. Did you actually revisit that GT, whatever you made wrong? Do not just leave it to that कि एक score आ गया और खत्म. GT needs to be revisited once again. Spend a day or so. What all topics you did wrong, refer to your notes and read that topic once again, so that next time in the next GT, if a topic of that comes, you should not make a mistake. अगर हम अपने mistakes को analyze करने लगेंगे, then your scores in the GT will also improvise. Most students say, sir, मेरा GT में score stagnant हो गया है. Why? Because you're just taking a GT, that's all. You're not revisiting that thing and improvising on that. Improvisation is the key. Okay, so I think that will solve the thing about the GT.
And maybe जब आप एग्जाम दे रहे हो तो आपको ऐसे ही लगे कि आप लाइब्रेरी में बैठ के अपना GT दे रहे हो.
Exactly.
I felt.
Exactly,
I felt
exactly.
the same.
That is the purpose. That is the purpose.
बिल्कुल realize ही नहीं हो रहा था वहाँ पे बैठ के.
Yes, yes. And actually the exam day also, students का एक जो fear होता है, anticipatory fear, it is just until you enter the exam hall कि क्या होगा. Once you are solving the questions, your brain is actually involved in that, and you don't realize that fear anymore. एक कम हो जाएगा. But then the break comes, and again during the break time, again you're thinking, how will the paper 2 come? How will the paper 2 come? फिर डर होगा, फिर कुछ time में खत्म हो जाएगा. So this is what it is. And especially if you have taken more GTs, you will not feel much of a difference. डर तो लगेगा. डर बिना कोई एग्जाम ही नहीं होता. अगर डर नहीं लग रहा तो that's not an exam. ठीक है, कितना ही क्यों ना बोल लो, फैकल्टी, पेरेंट्स, अंत में you are the soldier fighting the battle. So you're going inside, डर तो लगेगा, but it's temporary.
Like I was standing on the door of my center and I was like, उस पेज पे वहाँ पे क्या लिखा है, शिट ये तो मैं भूल रही हूँ. उस सब्जेक्ट का इतना like 19 सब्जेक्ट्स रिवॉल्व कर रहे थे दिमाग में. And once when we sat on our seats and we were good to go, no stress at all, पूरे focus हो गए, लग रहा था कि जीत ही दे रहे हैं.
Also, do not discuss any questions that came during the break time. Okay, keep your brain either relaxed or revise something if you have had some kind of short notes for something, a quick review, something that you tend to forget like TNM staging or something like that. Chalo, usko kar liya, but either you relax or you do something constructive. Do not discuss questions.
I got 4 questions from the short notes, वो जो हम लाइब्रेरी में स्टिकी नोट्स लगाते हैं. Exactly 4 questions मुझे उससे आए and my friends were like अभी मत पढ़ो, अभी छोड़ दो, अभी तो तुम गेट पे खड़े हो. And I was like grateful कि मैंने उस टाइम वो short notes पढ़ा बजाय स्ट्रेस लेने के वहाँ पे खड़े होके.
Yes, so that's what I said. Do either something constructive. That's all.
सर अगला क्वेश्चन है, डॉक्टर निया का क्वेश्चन है कि कौन सी कोचिंग ऑनलाइन प्रेफर करना चाहिए ऑफलाइन कोचिंग?
Dr. Nia, this is a very generic question that a lot of students ask us. Everything has its pros and cons. You cannot say this is only the best one, that is only the best. Every student's different. For example, online, if you are having a good amount of discipline that I can sit and look into the screen and I can study for these many number of hours, then that's definitely beneficial. Or maybe it's your second attempt. Okay, maybe it's your second attempt. Then you can just take the online lectures this time. You will save a bit more time, during your second attempt, going to the class a bit more early to occupy the seats. Second attempt mein you can be little more organized. Chalo, some topic kuch chhut gaya, you can refer once again and you can do it at your place. See, anyway, discipline will be more in your second attempt that I need to do it this time, right? So aap वैसे ही पढ़ लोगे. But first attempt में it's not necessary that everybody will have the same amount of thing. Offline has its own pros and cons. जैसे कि cons आप बोलो that I need to start quite early to come to the class to grab the seats. But then that hard work that you did, right? When you get something out of it, it all doesn't matter anymore. तो आप वो उसको con temporary बोल सकते हो. But then now, if you're looking at the pros of the offline, the environment, the energy in a classroom, that you see somebody, they're studying, अरे यार मुझे भी पढ़ना होगा. Right? That may not be actually available at your home. Sometimes at homes you may have more distractions. तो हर एक के लिए, it's not this or this, that. You need to analyze like what kind of a personality do you have? What kind of a environment are you going to get at the home as well? अगर आपको distractions है तो then offline is a better thing. नहीं है तो you can actually go for that.
Sir, we were also offline students, like you were also offline students, right? So we were in offline and एक अलग ही vibe होती थी. हम सुबह उठ के अपने सीट रिजर्व करने के लिए जाते थे and उस टाइम वहाँ पे बैठ के भी आप रिविजन कर सकते हो. तो we don't count it as con. and उसके बाद जब टीचर्स एंटर करते हैं तो अलग ही वाइब होती है. एक ऐसा फीलिंग होता है कि यस सुपरस्टार हैज एंटर्ड और एवरीवन इज क्लैपिंग. एक बहुत एनर्जेटिक माहौल होता है. और अब जब भी हम ड्राउजी हो जाते थे तो टीचर्स कुछ फनी मोमेंट्स हो जाते थे, कुछ जोक्स क्रैक कर लेते थे, या कभी जो टीचर्स सिंग करते हैं दे यूज्ड टू सिंग अ सॉन्ग फॉर अस. सो यू गाइस हैव डन अ लॉट एंड इट वाज क्वाइट अ फन.
और सर मेरा तो एक फ्रेंड था मेरे साथ, वो नोट्सबुक 5 नोट्सबुक लेके जाता था. वो हमारी आगे जाके सबकी नोट्सबुक रख देता था कि पहली रीजनल क्लिक किया हमारी, ये मेरे फ्रेंड्स की सीट सब पे जाके बिल्ड की बुक रख के देता था. वो 1 घंटा पहले वहां जाके बैठ जाता और हमारी सबकी आगे जाके बुक कर लेता. ये मेरा दोस्त आने वाला, ये मेरा दोस्त आने वाला.
रोज की एवरीबॉडी वुड हैव अ टर्न कि आज ये
इसका नंबर है, आज अगली बार इसका नंबर, अगली बार ऐसे चलता था हमारा.
If there are 5 people, 4 gets to sleep.
सर अगला क्वेश्चन है, डॉक्टर पूजा क्वेश्चन है, जैसे जैसे हमारे डेज कम होते हैं एग्जाम के वैसे हमारे नोट्स कम होते जाते हैं. पहले हमें फुल नोट्स देते हैं, उसके बाद हमारे रैपिड आता है, उसके बाद चेंडिंग आती है, माँ चेंडिंग आते हैं. एंड ऑफ द एग्जाम के डे हमारे 400 से 4 पेज के नोट हो जाते हैं. कि हमें कंटिन्यूस वही नोट से रखना चाहिए या इससे इस प्रोसेस के अकॉर्डिंग चलना चाहिए?
Stick to the primary source. Do not have too many deviations. ये rapid revision देख लिया, वो देख लिया, and उसी से पढ़ लेंगे. That's not how it is going to work. अगर वैसा ही होता कि रैपिड रिविजन्स पे सब कुछ हो जाता, तो फिर एनेस्थीसिया का रैपिड रिवीजन हो सकता है 2 घंटे में हो गया, इसका 2 घंटे में, तो आई थिंक 4 दिन में ही आपका पूरे एग्जाम का प्रिपरेशन हो जाए, कर लो पास फिर उस. दैट्स नॉट गोइंग टू हैपन. अगेन इस बात को हमें समझना होगा दैट मेन नोट्स आर समथिंग दैट वी नीड टू प्रायोरिटाइज. आई एग्री वी कैन नॉट रिमेंबर एवरीथिंग लाइन टू लाइन, बट हर सब्जेक्ट में यू कैन डू वन थिंग. लाइक जब आपको टाइम मिल जाता है आफ्टर अ सब्जेक्ट इज फिनिश्ड, एटलीस्ट 3 to 5 years के लास्ट FMG टॉपिक्स जो जो एग्जाम में आए थे, mark them in the notes. So next time what happens when you open this notes, you will know on this page this is very important. ठीक है, I'll spend more time on revising that thing that is going to be having a more probability to be asked in the exam. ठीक है, तो ये ज्यादा बेटर तरीका हो जाएगा, sticking to the same notes. And second thing, आप जो बोल रहे हो rapid revision, this, that, if you're doing and getting concise note, a lot of times what happens is that you have a muscle memory of the notes that you revised. There is a very famous saying from Mr. Bruce Lee, the legend. He said that I'm not afraid of that man who have practiced 10,000 varieties of kick only once. I'm afraid of that man who have practiced one type of kick 10,000 times. तो इससे क्या पता चलता है? If you're not even revising the same notes twice or thrice, how are you expecting your memory to become better? ये shortcut वाला तरीका नहीं चलेगा. You have to accept the fact that same notes I'm going to study. You can watch a rapid revision to brush up on some important topic. Rapid revision में क्या कराया जाएगा? Important topic. आप उन्हीं को फिर से नोट से ढंग से पढ़ लो. Rapid revision में अब हर चीज नहीं बोली जाएगी from that subject. So that's where, stick to the main notes, but yes, you can take some help from that. चलो एक worst come worst, there is a subject that I'm trying my best, हो ही नहीं रहा. आप 1 or 2 subjects, if you do it like that, then that's fine. That too something small, not something big.
सर लास्ट क्वेश्चन है, डॉक्टर राहुल का क्वेश्चन है कि एग्जाम डेट अनाउंस होगी 12 जून, मैंने स्टिल प्रिपरेशन स्टार्ट नहीं की, अभी मैं करूँ 2 मंथ के लिए, तो मेरा चांस है पास होने के लिए कुछ?
Actually, earlier in this podcast, हमने इसका आंसर दिया था. We have already talked that 70 days of a time, even if you start now onwards, it's quite a huge amount of time. This is a biggest advantage. Even the people, who have been studying on and off like this, you still have time to watch a 3 days class. अगर पूरी full day एक subject था, that was a class for 4 days. You can once again watch that class for 4 days if you have access to that. You can improvise on those weak subjects. That's one of the biggest luxury you're having. आपको लगभग एक फिर से attempt करने उतना टाइम ही मिल चुका है. So you can revisit some topic. आपका हर चीज तो बुरा नहीं है. Something or the other that you know. So trust your instincts. If you start even now, there is a chance that you can do it, but you got to give your best. 100% if you give, then there is a chance. See, there is always a probability and a possibility. There is nothing in this world where I can be 100% sure. वो तो मैं 6 महीने पढ़ के भी I'm not sure if I will pass or not, right? So same way, you have to give your best shot. Try your best, and if things work out, it works out.
थैंक यू सो मच सर, जो आपने हमें हमारे फर्स्ट एपिसोड में अपने इतनी बिजी शेड्यूल में से हमें टाइम दिया. थैंक यू सो मच.
Thank you, Dr. Sanjay, and thank you, Dr. Ayushi. आप लोगों ने मुझे इनवाइट किया. It is definitely my honor and my pleasure to be here. And I hope this channel grows, more as such.
थैंक यू सर.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. So it was really a very interesting podcast, and we're really hoping for some more podcasts in future too.
Definitely. It was great interacting with you.
थैंक यू
Same
सर. थैंक
here.
यू.
All right, guys. Since you must have watched the channel until now, you have watched this entire podcast. So definitely do follow this channel right here that is popping in front of you, Dr. Artist. And for more updates, please subscribe to this channel. Hit that like button.